Right, back for our third and final feature match here for week 2, Murders of Karlov Manor, and we got a league committee showdown here. So we got two of our league committee members, Adam S and Steve T, also both league winners. So no slouches either. And we'll see what Adam's bringing to the table. I feel like he always brings something interesting here when he plays in the feature matches. Always has some cool stuff going on. What's Steve Hand looking like after the mulligan here?
We don't know because there's gonna be another mulligan, and there it goes.
Oh,
It was
well,
two one-landers, and then now we have Swamp Forest, V2 Ghazi, and a Vanifar with no blue. So gonna
uh,
need some of that
well,
sometime soon.
you've seen 21 cards from his deck already, so you're going to tell us what all of them were,
Yeah. So starting with no,
right? um,
what's Adam working with?
well, okay. So he has Tunnel Tipster, Steam Core Scholar, which is that blue rare where you draw two and then discard something. Loxodon Eavesdropper, a Gravestone Strider. So I thought, okay, we got a green blue Simic deck, and then he drew Meddling Youths for turn,
Oh,
which is a red white card. So he's seemingly doing it all here. Possibly
I
just
mean,
green
why not?
green with splashes here.
I would think so. He's probably playing like I don't know some lands at probably some public thoroughfares. Maybe just like one of each land. Go searching for it somehow,
Yeah,
some way.
the Gravestone Strider is also going to be the great forgiver here in this match. But while all this colorful stuff is going on, you got to turn 3 locks on Eavesdropper, which is real fun. And he's run another Meddling Youths, as well as the full 5 color is now represented as Rakdos is in hand now.
Oh, the Lord of Rats or whatever, Chaos, the one from this set.
Yeah, but
Okay.
he discarded his escape tunnel, which means he's going to need a black or red source in order to cast the Rakdos. The Gravestone Strider only gives you one mana per turn. You can only filter one mana into it every turn.
Well, this is going to be very interesting. So Steve has drawn the public thoroughfare
Okay.
for turn, and the last turn he drew Coerce to Kill. So if
Huh.
Rakdos comes down sometime soon, Steve might choose that as his target.
I
The
mean,
face down is the 1/4 flyer. So
we are getting a big attack going here, and it's going to cause an investigation to occur. You know,
this is going to be interesting because I feel like Steve is just going to rip the Coerce to Kill unless something better comes from the top.
I mean, he's just going to use it on the 4/5, and then the Rakdos is going to
Yeah,
come and destroy him potentially. He's already at 10 here. So, but
actually,
like I said, Rakdos is not castable until a black or red source appears.
things may change. Let's see what Steve does here. So instead of playing the escape tunnel he drew for turn, he does play this untapped land. So it does seem like he's going to miss out on Rakdos if it can come down anytime soon.
I mean, you have to take the four
Oh,
five here, right? Oh,
no, he's going to take the
I,
Scholar,
I guess
which
I guess
makes sense.
I guess you take the untapped creature. That makes sense.
Well, it also makes sense because he makes sure that he gets the blocker or the flyer out of the sky, right? In case Adam has any way to
Yeah,
deal with the 1/3.
yeah, that makes sense. But I think also just the value of taking the untapped creature that can block immediately, right? It gives anything death touch. So he's cracked his clue and found a plains, which is not useful to him at this time. He's casting a vengeful creeper, which can blow up that enchantment next turn. So
Yeah. Um, so
that flyer might be coming right back to its owner.
I would guess Steve is not interested in. Actually, well, he can just do it next turn. It doesn't matter.
Okay,
So
all right,
Vanifer is going to come down. It's going to toss this forest into a 2/2 blocker.
all right. If Rakdos ever comes down, it's most certainly going to dominate the board. Though in the face of a 1/1 death touch, not as good. But I think he just takes back his creature.
Oh, 100%. You take the creature back. From there, you just have clean attacks, right?
Well, he can if he wants to investigate, he'll have to throw away a 1/3, but he can just attack with a
Well,
5/5 and a 4/5 here.
Can you swing with a 2/2?
No,
2/2, 4/5, 5/5?
no. The 2/2. It has to start the turn under your control
Okay.
in order to
Okay.
not have summoning sickness. So if when creatures change hands, they do not retain their ability to attack. You have to control it when at the beginning of your turn. But he's just gonna go for the obvious attacks here, and happy to trade off meddling use for that Vanifar.
Now, did I hear you correctly earlier when you said there was a second meddling youth in hand?
He discarded that to this Team Core Scholar. He's got two auspicious arrivals though, which is gonna potentially be the deciding factor in the next couple turns, or potentially the
Yeah,
next
I
turn.
mean, this morph isn't really going to get it done. It's just the gardener.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I mean, with
So
two auspicious arrivals, that's just GG.
oh yeah, he can attack all. He's drawn the Nervous Gardener now, which can get him Rakdos mana for next turn, but with no cards in hand, he can just Auspicious Arrival whatever doesn't get blocked. I mean, I guess he has to respect what the face downs might be. They may be able to somehow interact. So he's
Yeah, I
actually not
mean,
going to do
with
the
blue
attack at
mana,
all here.
well, with blue mana, it also could be an exit specialist. So we'll have to see what he wants to do here.
Yeah, that would be a bit of a disaster, particularly in response to an Auspicious Arrival.
So he's going to need a little help from the top of the deck then.
Yeah, so he's just going to use the Auspicious Arrival here to give him a cleaner attack with this flyer next turn. And then he's going to play Gardener, I would assume. All right, well, there's the Gardener. Just Gardener's been just really like one of the reasons why green is I think shot up most people's ranks. I think people started low on green, but just the early game combination of Gardener and Tipster, and then Loxodon Eavesdropper being so strong, has created green a really nice solid base of commons here.
I mean, green's also got some pretty good uncommons that fit in different colors, right? And green has some pretty good mythics like Tolsmere,
Well, I mean,
Vanifar.
rares and mythics aside, I just mean as far like in a draft, you're making decisions based on mostly commons and uncommons. But yeah, green is nice.
You don't base your drafting and play boosters around the rares? What?
There are playable rares in play boosters. News to me. News to me.
So as we see, it's Lockstone coming down for turn,
I
and,
mean, not sure
and
what he can find for one mana that doesn't make him just dead on board here.
nothing. And Steve says, you know, let's do the game too.
Yeah. Let's see if Adam wants to see what that creature is.
So let's see what the sideboard's looking like. I almost forgot Steve has a Virtue of Persistence over here. So
Virtue
that
of
there,
persistence, you say? Okay, that's
yeah, I
something.
believe he got that pretty early. It definitely strung him in different colors, and he was practicing on a 4 to 5 color build. So I see like the powerful cards in here, like Buried in the Garden, Vanifer, Ezram, Virtue. He's got the Outrageous Robbery, and then there's just a few other like decent value cards, kind of just scattered around.
Yeah, so we got a green white base here with a 5 color deck, though, at the end of the day. One black card, quite a few red cards here, and a couple blue spells. Um, Archdruid's Charm in your 5 color deck, all that good stuff.
I mean, it's you're gonna be able to easily cast on 3, right? With all the fixing you have.
I mean, he's got 2 or 3 of those rare lands, so that helps. But if this were post limited hot dogging, I may be responding with a particular meme that
Are you saying Vader would
is.
come out?
I mean, we'll see. I mean, look, he made it work that game, no issues at all. Um, and then he gets a hand like this where he has a bunch of great cards and can't play any of them.
See, Steve's keeping quite the
Oh,
greedy hand here. See,
uh,
Adam kept.
okay, so he has Assemble the Players, which is a white card. Rakdos, Patron of Chaos. Meddling Youths. Buried in the Garden. So a white card, a black-red card, a red-white card, and a green-white card, and his lands are Forest, Mountain.
Interesting.
But he has drawn a Tunnel Tipster that can ramp him into still none of his spells.
I mean, luckily for him, his opponent is also just as greedy. So
All
Steve kept
right.
five lands and an Ezram and a Virtue of Persistence.
Okay, why not?
So I mean, outside of Virtue, really, like Ezram's not really castable. I think he went looking through his deck for his second planes or for his planes. I saw there were two planes in the deck. Now, luckily for Steve, he just draws like a god, and as long as his gardener lives, he can find his second source of light, and then the whole hand's castable.
Adam actually drew Tunnel Tipster turn one, but opted to play his tap land first, just because Tunnel Tipster was not going to ramp him into anything, because of the lack of white mana. But he does have the white mana now, so his Nervous Gardener can find him a black source for the Rakdos. So look, when you play a deck with all these colors, you kind of sometimes have to keep the hands that he kept, even though it's terrifying. It's a terrifying keep. It's 3 lands and 4 cards you cannot cast. But
Yeah.
look, he's finding his way, and we're
I
gonna
mean,
we're gonna
Steve's
have a
made a
fun game
culture.
here.
I appreciate anybody willing to bolt the bird.
Or scorn the mole, perhaps,
Yes.
or mourn the skull, even further. So it looks
What is
like
this, a morph coming down?
it's yeah, Gardener. Gardener will
I
be finding a
mean,
black source unless it gets countered here.
this is going to be some power coming down in about a turn or two.
All right, is that
I
a?
can't believe Steve is going to toss down Ezram this turn.
I mean, it would get picked off, but Buried in the Garden is going to pick it off anyway, right? I don't think it gets. Does it get hexproof, or does it get
Yeah,
indestructible?
hexproof is the keyword.
Oh,
Indestructible
okay,
is not. So
it does
hexproof,
get hexproof.
vigilance, or lifelink.
I mean, it's fair. That's
But I
that's
mean,
a fair
the rule of thumb is you just never cast it on 5, right? Now, granted, Steve's got interesting options, so doesn't matter. He's going to play the tap land. It's not even a thought anymore.
I mean, playing it without protection is a bit crazy, I would say.
Correct. I mean, there's a world where Steve can go, you know what? As long as it's not like, something that like tucks it, but it kills it, then he can use his virtue, right, to get it back. But I just like playing it on 6, especially on the slow board. But he did draw an outrageous robbery also.
Okay.
So I would assume we're going to see Ezram and then just an outrageous amount of robbery happening.
These mana bases are ambitious. I can't take that away from these folks. They are coming fully armed to this showdown. They're bringing all of their best cards pretty much, and you know, hopefully the mana works out is what they're saying, and we're seeing it work so far. Even though Adam's hand had a very high fail rate, I would say, or at least a decent fail rate possibility. But
I
he's
mean,
going to be able to cast everything if he wants to.
yeah, funnily enough, I was really
Like,
talking about Steve's double pip black cards, just now realizing there's only one black land on his side of the field. So this is pretty much 2 uncastables.
so you're saying it was a little too much to be able to cast a double white, double blue card and a double black card.
Possibly. I mean, I'm not saying.
Really?
So does Adam have anything to back up this dog walker and the pups? Or is
I
it just like,
mean, he has Rakdos he could cast. That ain't bad.
I mean, that's actually pretty good here. Like, what's Steve gonna do?
He's gonna draw 2 cards. That's what Adam's gonna do.
He's probably wondering, like, is there some way Steve can, like, like remove it? But I'm not even sure you really care unless he has some convoluted line he can use to get rid of Ezram.
I mean, the convoluted line would be a board wipe, I guess.
What you say is buried in the garden,
He has
right?
Buried in the Garden, but it can gain hexproof, no?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you had something else to back it up. So like fish out the hexproof with the buried in the garden, and then
I
remove it with the
mean,
second spell.
I get weighing your options here, but I don't think you do anything except run this out. I mean, if it dies, you at least still got 2 cards to show for it. All right, well,
Well, Raptors could put in some work here.
all right, we got a Culvert Ambusher and a Forest as the 2 cards. So still in hand, he has Assemble
Ooh,
the Players, which doesn't not looking amazing here. He still has Buried in the Garden, Meddling Youths, Culver Ambusher, and 2 lands.
Yeah, I mean the ambusher's not really crazy good here, right? Because you can't. Well, you know what? I guess you still can target the Ezram. Yeah, I think it's fine. Just target the Ezram, and then you could swing at Rakdos if you wanted, or you can just leave Rakdos back and just take 2 more cards.
All right, assemble the players coming down here. So I like the idea of this card, but how many hits are you going to have in your deck?
Well, let's find out. Is there one hit currently?
No. Um,
Okay.
and it's only once a turn, so you can't like chain cards like you can with some of these effects.
Like the
Um,
one that where you can play what lands off the top and play cards off the top.
oh yeah, the green rare, yeah, that card because it
Yeah,
lets you play 2 lands, so it solves the problem of what happens when you hit a land clump of like 2 lands. Well, you play them both. Because that's always been an issue with like like all these cards. I think going back to like Future Sight from like way back in the day was like one of the first effects like that.
ooh,
Problem is like what happens when you hit a run of a string of lands, and that green card solves the problem. But interesting card on top of the deck for Adam, one you don't see very much because it's in the special slot here. The Treacherous Terrain. Your so at for 8 mana, your opponent takes damage equal to the amount of lands they control, and also has basic land cycling for 2. But
I almost forgot he had that. I was playtesting him early with it, and that I just forgot that card even does what it does.
yeah, I mean, in the late game, you could half your opponent's life total. But for 8 mana, you would hope it would do something like that. It is you're tapping 8 mana for it. What's the face down disguised creature over here?
It's
Oh,
gonna be a womp womp, but it's Aurelia.
oh, so just for one, interesting. But now
And Adam is
the
probably
the
just gonna take it back.
the Ezram is vulnerable now, though, right?
Yes. Esmond's vulnerable, and Aurelia also is
All right,
vulnerable.
I think Adam has to jump on this opportunity. Auto tapper. Why? The auto tapper
Did
is
it
wants
try?
to tap the land that the aura is going on.
That's the worst thing in the world. It's like, why does anyone want to do that? I'd like to use that extra mana, please.
It's I've never seen that before. Usually it doesn't do that. I don't. I can't figure it out.
It always does it whenever I go to cast this Bird in the Garden. I'm just on auto, like, I'm just tapping my mana from this point forward.
Yeah, so maybe a bit of an oversight there to leave Ezra vulnerable, but it has been taken away here. So the board's looking a lot more even than it was with that 5/5 in play. The Vindicator is gonna be gaining a good amount of life though. So let's see. Okay, so Adam says, "I will throw this dog under a bus in order to get a clue." I mean that is something that would need to be investigated. I like this
Interesting.
double block. This is the overkill overkill of the century block.
Yeah, I'm looking at myself and I'm like, why wouldn't you just block the light? I mean, it doesn't matter either way. I'm just curious if Steve is just like having a good time.
Yeah, there was this. It was actually in the Arena Open back in Crimson Vow. This game I can remember very distinctly, where I had this mythic Olivia that when it attacks, you bring back a creature from your graveyard attacking. And the only creature I had in my graveyard was Jacob Hauken, so the 0/2. So I'd bring it back, and my opponent would gang block it with 5 creatures every single turn, even though it was just
Better be
like
safe than be sorry, huh?
it was just an 0/2. Like it kept coming back every turn because I was attacking with Olivia, and then opponent would put 5 creatures in front of it, like to stomp this poor Jacob's head in turn after turn.
Decisions here,
Yeah,
Steve.
what's he looking at here?
Well, he says the robbery, a land in hand, and then the
Okay.
granite witness.
Can
I'm
can he take a turn off to robbery though? That's the question.
I I would think you would just want to play Virtue of Persistence, right? Because then you can trade a bit more aggressively. Because if I'm correct, Virtue triggers on your upkeep, right?
The virtue triggers on your upkeep, yes, but he won't be able to get back the Sphinx, unfortunately for him.
Thanks.
Oh no, not the
This one's
Sphinx, the Archon. It looks like a Sphinx to me. The Ezra.
Yes, yes, yes. I just mean like you can trade your 3/3 with the 3/1. Like it makes it a nightmare for Adam to ever try and swing, right?
I just assume anything that has potential hexproof and costs white, white, blue, blue, and has flying is a Sphinx. I mean,
Huh. It's fair.
but apparently it's a Archon detective. Sure.
So I guess Steve is going for this line so he could play the witness. Maybe potentially tap something down. I don't know if he cares. I think he just wants to outrage his robbery.
Outrageous robbery for what? For four?
Four. That seems good to me. He was going to
Uh,
do four anyway. So
yeah.
before he passed turn, he was going to do robbery for a four regardless. So I believe this is the play he was going for.
Okay. Yeah, I guess. I mean, at 23, I feel like he could have gone for three more cards. Not that it would do all that much. So, all right. So we now have another land on top, another tap land. In hand, we have Topiary Panther, Archdruid's Charm, Auspicious Arrival, and that Treacherous Terrain.
Ooh, the charm could be. Charm gets what enchantments also.
Uh, you can exile an artifact or enchantment, right?
I believe so. I've never played with the charm at all.
So it's
In fact, I've never picked.
I know it's you can search for a creature or land, and the land if you search for a land, it goes directly into play, as was cast to find many Lotus Fields. I know from the Pioneer Pro Tour that was a mainstay, but for limited, it's mostly going to be the other. You're either going to be finding a creature, or you're going to be blowing up an artifact or enchantment, or you're going to be doing a rabid bite at instant speed, and your creature gets a +1 counter.
Hmm.
Extremely versatile. Like this card is like pretty close to like an A, or like at least like A minus as far as like its functionality, but the mana cost does limit it in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I put it in like what that same vein as what was that card from Mom? Uh, World Soul, World Tree something. The green.
Yeah,
Whenever you play a creature, or
tribute to the
something
World
like that.
Tree.
Yeah, there you go. Everyone loved playing with that card, but like the mana restriction was tight.
Yeah, that's also like a card like the text box is like probably like B plus, A minus, like somewhere in that range. Like it's just every creature you play, you're getting a huge advantage. But again, mana cost uh, is restrictive. But it's not stopping Adam here with his Archdruid's Charm. I mean, he is heavily green based. Like the majority of his basic lands are green, so um, he should be able to cast it most games, and he will be casting it here. Let's see what he wants to do. I think he just wants to kill this angel.
I mean, that seems pretty good to me.
Yeah, and he gets back Rakdos in hand, so it's nice.
Now, was the charm drawn for turn, or is that something Adam had to turn it to?
I think he had it before,
Okay.
but he's sort of engineered the board to where he can do this here. Interesting, he didn't put it on his face down creature just in case Steve had like an instant or something. It's a little harder to interact with the face down creature.
Which is fair. Now Steve is thinking, I guess, about cracking a clue, see if he can save it.
Huh. So he's not going to be doing robbery then.
He might robbery for two here.
That's not how you want to do that card, right?
I mean, no. So it looks like he's going to dig for another answer one more time.
Yeah, I think he's figuring out that robbery's not going to cut it here at this point. He can't just tap all his mana and not put anything into play. Every time he taps mana, it needs to be affecting the board now, basically.
Well, this is not going to do it. It was Bird in the Garden and a Gardener, along with the Collector's Vault drawn for turn. So, like, I don't know.
Collector's Vault, is that the you can loot and make a treasure?
Yep.
Okay, that's funky. It might not matter here. I don't know how much he can put to the board here to not make him fall behind to the Rakdos in hand and the the treacherous terrain potentially to half his life total. I mean, like this is nice, but it's not it right now.
So currently, Steve would take 10 damage from the treacherous terrain.
Yeah, I think it's finished here because
Well,
he
as
can
of
just
right
attack
now,
all. So it's
yeah,
not.
if he bought 4/5. He's one short to put him down to 10.
Yeah, but he's not going to block the 4/5. He's going to block probably the dog walker.
I don't know. Steve's already seen the treacherous. Let's
Has
find
he?
out.
Has he seen it?
Yeah, Adam land cycle with it last game, but
Oh, right. Okay.
it does not matter. He's going for the dog walker, like you said.
I mean,
GG.
he can't beat basically anything here. It's like, his out is his opponent's hand is full of lands and he draws perfect for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, here's the treacherous terrain. I mean, not to be trifled with this card. Very, very effective in League. I don't know. I don't know about in draft how many games you're finishing with it, but in our league where the games go long and you get to board states like this, it can be treacherous out there. So we see Adam taking it down. Congratulations to him. And thanks for watching, and see everybody next week.